Okay, Stephen, great to have you on the program. And you were this week, we are talking on Friday, August the 19th. And on Wednesday, the 17th, you were at a meeting in Burgeo with Mowi Canada East and some residents. And I gather the meeting was pretty emotional. Tell us about the mood of that meeting.
The move was not good. The people that showed up, I think they had a mission. They had a mission to just tell them that they just didn't want them there.
Hmm.
Plain and simple. Now, there were 45 people. Um, now out of that 45 people, you might have had 10 that was actually vocal, right? So, I mean, there's only a percentage of them, but now the other ones was kind of go along with them too as well, right?
Hmm.
But would you like a little bit of backstory on this first?
Well,
So I can give you a little.
yeah, why don't you tell us what concerns people were raising? Those people who were vocal,
Yeah. Yes.
what was on their mind that they were trying to get across at this meeting?
So I got to go back a little tiny bit. Um, Back in probably September. You got Greg on too as well. So me and Greg were both on the town council. So we were informed that the government was going to be putting out tenders for areas in our coastline for fish farms. And council had no decision whatsoever. We were just informed on this. So then there was a company called Green Island Farms. They were very communicative with the town council. They were telling us about all the benefits and this and that. And they were mainly land based. So when we were land based, we were okay. This
Mm.
this is going to be good. So then when it come down to the tenders actually being brought out and people apply for it, the companies apply for it, the council was in agreement to write a letter of recommendation for this one company. So that was, I'd say, last year, probably June or July, that the council was formed at. So I got off council in September, but before that, we were notified that they were in the process and blah, blah, blah. So fast forward to April, we had Greg Sea Farms.
This is April 2022 this year.
Yep, it
Mhm.
was. And this was a total surprise. The council did not know what the announcement was. I did not know what the announcement was. No one in the community knew what this announcement was. Andrew Parsons put out, well, our MHA, Andrew Parsons, put out a statement saying that he would be down with the fisheries minister, Mr. Bragg, and they had a announcement for Burgeo. Didn't really, and all they said was on agriculture. So then they showed up. People came there, and people didn't know what they were walking into. And so in a way, they announced that this company, the province, has awarded this company, Greg's, the area in which that the province was proposing be used for agriculture. So then you'll mean this talk. Then it was the aftermath of all this because that people were a little bit struck by it. And to my mind, council was not happy that the one that they wanted because it's land based. So
Green
now these
Island.
other
They
ones,
wanted Green Island. Hmm.
yes, they
And
wanted
they
Green
wanted
Island.
Green Island land based, and they ended up with Grieg
Yep,
sea based.
yep. And then they said, well, mean by the time stuff gets done, it'll be eight years or blah blah blah. So then all of a sudden, this one just comes out of nowhere.
Mowi
This
Canada East.
Maui,
Yes.
Maui, Canada, just there's going to be a presentation. We didn't even know if it was, if they were going to be working with the government or government told them to be there or what. So going into it, it was a little bit of mystery again, but they are seeking government approval. So they decided instead of getting approval first, they come to the community first to see what the community had to say about it. So
Right, and I guess the other thing here is that so not only uh, did people in Burgeo end up with sea-based aquaculture, which is the one that has all the environmental issues with it, um, but also people in Burgeo have that rendering plant owned by Barry
yep,
Fisheries,
yeah,
and the smell when the dead salmon from the die-offs, when the salmon die-offs are brought in
yeah,
and turned into fish meal at that rendering plant. And if the wind is blowing in the wrong direction, people in
yes,
Burgeo sure smell it. So
yes.
that's not a very good calling card, I guess, for sea-based aquaculture.
No, it's not. Especially where, as far as my knowledge, this mill plant is only mill plant in Newfoundland. So if it's going to be done anywhere, it's going to be done here. And since 2011, every contaminated salmon has been processed here in Burgeo.
Hmm.
I worked there the first lot. I was in the quarantine zone. I was a worker there before I got at the BBS, and it was unreal.
In terms
And
of
I
the smell being inside.
no, not the smell, but the cleanup part of it. Like they were strict beyond belief. Like I could not believe it. Like they were going around with shot bags, sucking up the water in puddles. That's how bad it was. You know
Uh,
what I mean?
Sorry,
So,
explain that to me again. They were
so like I mean, then on the wharf, what they used to do is they used to bring the bring the salmon on boats. So then they used to pump it into fish tubs, and then a forklift would transfer the fish tubs up to like the cooker,
Mhm.
and in process, the water that was in with the salmon, that also had to be purged as well.
I see.
So because they tried to treat the fish, and the fish it kind of done crazy things to them. Like I've seen mutations; it's not even fit. I've seen salmon that the tip of their top of their beak is down their throat.
Mhm.
Fins not supposed to be where they're supposed to be. Um, and like yeah, so most of the cleanup, like I mean, after the forklifts was going back and forth, someone would actually go out in the parking lot where the forklifts used to pass by, and if there was a puddle in the road with water, they would suck that water out with a shot vac.
I see. So fast forward to Wednesday of this week, we have
Mm.
45 people approximately at this meeting at the fire hall. And why do you think there were not more people present at this meeting? Because Burgeo is a town of what, 1,400, 1,600 people, and only
About
45,
1,200.
1,200. So
Yeah, yeah.
45 out of 1,200 people show up. Why do you think more people weren't there?
Because one thing, it was at 6 o'clock in the evening. That's like summertime for most
Yes.
people.
Mm,
It's summertime
mhm.
for another. A lot of people spend a lot of time in cabins. You know, what I mean, Burgeo Highway is littered with cabins. There's people in there. People has gone away to work. It's just trying to get everybody at once is very hard. It's very
Mm,
hard nowadays, right?
yes.
But no, but like these people that were there, I guess from because of the last one slipped past them, you wouldn't want to let this one slip past.
It slipped past. What do you mean? Grieg getting the first uh, tender, and then and Mowi wants to be in on the action on the south coast.
Well, no, it's just that the consensus from most of the people that I've heard from is that they don't want it.
Hmm.
This is something that they do not want.
So you think that
Now,
if you did a poll of the 1,200 people in Burgeo, most people will be against the fish farms?
uh, I, I not sure on that because I've been surprised before.
Mm,
You know, as the elections goes, you know what I mean? People's always saying, no more liberals, no more liberals. And guess what? Liberals gets back in.
mm,
So you cannot go by what you think you hear.
mm.
And that's the only thing that I'm worried about, right?
Yes. So we know that, at the meeting, most
Mm-hmm.
people who spoke were
Yeah,
opposed.
yeah,
The mayor spoke in
yeah.
favor of fish farms because
Yes,
he said we need the jobs,
yes,
and he thinks it's a good thing. But I think he was the only, as far as I could tell, he was the only, from the recording, he was the only person who was in favor, who expressed his support at the meeting.
yes, yes.
Mhm.
Well, our mayor is very passionate about the community. Uh, and the only thing is, throughout the years, our community has declined major. I mean, we had about 4,000 people here in the 90s. Now we're down to 1,200. That's a major decrease.
Mm.
And so it's just like the community is mostly seniors now, and it's very, you know, what I mean, it's an old town. I say what I like to, I say what I like to express how this town is.
A
Is
lot
getting
of
old.
seniors, a lot of seniors.
Yes, yes,
Mhm.
and without some kind of industry in this community that, you know what I mean, is not bringing no one young. We are getting a couple younger couples. You know what I mean, they were originally from here and spend their time up in the mainland, and it's like, no, it's time for us to go back to a peaceful place in which that Burgeo is, and they're coming back here, but it's not enough. You know what I mean, taxes are going up every year, and people can't understand why, but you know what I mean, the less people that's in your community, the more taxes people got to pay,
Mm.
right? It just comes down to that, right?
Yes.
But you know what I mean, people are pretty passionate on the environment too, right?
Mm.
So like the real question is going to be, what do people really want? Do people really want these jobs that's going to probably bring industry into our community, in which that is going to enhance our grocery stores, our restaurants, and our gas bar and whatever else? Or were we going to take the approach of not allowing this to come in and not pollute our waters as to what some people are believing?
Mm.
So, like you said, right, you know what I mean? As right now, I'm in the middle. That's all I can say at this point.
Yes.
And so,
So you were there at the meeting,
mm,
reporting for BBS. The meeting was about, I guess, just short of an hour and a half. A presentation by Mowi,
yep.
and then a Q&A. Will that be available on BBS?
Sunday night on my news, I will be providing information on the presentation, but we were asked by Maui to not show the Q&A.
I see. So people will be able to hear their justification for sea-based aquaculture, but the questions
Mm-hmm.
that were critical and opposed to the project will not be aired on BBS.
No.
And and what is the reason for that? For only airing the Mowi portion?
What I can say right now is that the Q&A was kind of a toss up whether it was going to be filmed or not, because I like to respect people, and because especially with that kind of stuff that people don't like, people will not speak up if the camera's on. That's usually my initial thought. So out of respect, I always ask, would you like to turn off the camera off? And Mary was down for that. But then when they announced that I was going to turn the camera off, the crowd wanted it left on. And that is the first time that have ever happened to me. And I was surprised and happy at the same time. But then the crowd did not want the camera to be pointed at the speakers. So the camera is pointed at the Maui employees. So you're just seeing them and you're hearing what the crowd is saying behind. So they felt that it was kind of unfair to them that you know, what I mean, they were on the camera and you're not seeing anyone else. So they asked if we not include that part.
So, Stephen, what's next then? Mowi has come in and made its presentation, but they are and they would want to build several cages there and have, I think, according to the meeting, a million fish in these pens in this development.
Yep.
But it's some way off. So I suppose this is a preliminary step in this project, which I guess may or may not happen depending on what people say and what environmental assessment says about it.
Yes, and they also got to go to Ramia, Franceway, and Grave River to get. So actually, fact, where they're looking to put their pins is just very next door to Franceway. So they would probably have more to say than what we would. You know what I mean? The only reason why they had to come here is because they had to come here to get there. Regardless of what, you got to come here to get there. Yes. Unless you're flying down or you got your own boat or wherever else. So Burgeo is going to be a hub to get down to Franceway. So that's why they come here.
Yes.
Now I can say that, you know what I mean, as they were saying, they did not have any approval from the government yet. This is why they're here. They're here to see what interest there is. And so by the people that were there, I think it was pretty clear that they got to the point that they're not wanted. But to be fair, it will have to come to a vote, I would say. The town council will have to come to a realization and say, hey, look, we're going to have to poll the public on this. That's what I think is going to have to happen.
Yes. Right, Stephen. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for telling us about that meeting, and keep us posted.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me on.